Kacey,
Hello.
what's up?
I'm good. How are you?
I am I'm okay, but I'm
Yeah.
not okay, if that makes sense.
I get it.
Why do you get it?
I think I'm in the same space. It is one of those things where you look and see, it's like, okay, my basic needs are pretty much met. You know, personally, I might be all right, but when you look at everything else that you're connected to, everything else you feel as though you're called to, and those things aren't okay, it kind of shifts you a little bit.
No, I resonate with that deeply, and I'm really excited about our conversation. One, I've been knowing you for a long time now,
Yeah, over a decade.
well over a decade, and I just want to say to you, as a black woman, that I respect you. I respect your leadership. You are a visionary. You have brilliance. I even saw that long time ago before anyone, just like knew your name in rooms and stuff like that. But like you've always been highly organized, highly strategic with how you think about solving issues and problems. You were dreaming about stuff that you're doing now long before the world got a chance to see it. And I just want to say I respect you.
Thank you.
And every time I see you like show up to a random event that I have, I'm like so deeply encouraged because, it takes a lot of support to do the work that we do.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Where are you right now in terms of the work that you're doing, how you see the state of the world impacting the target population that you work with, which is young black men?
The word that immediately comes to my mind is scary. Right? And I say that because, leading what I think is bigger than an organization, it's a movement of sorts.
Yeah.
And having to balance finding the resources with not erasing the identity of black male youth that I work with. And in this climate, this day and age, it is that tap dance, right? Of trying to figure out how do you do enough, say enough so that you have what you need to continue, but then also understanding where you are on your principles and is this enough to move you off of your block, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so right now it is really a larger conversation about ensuring that the young people, particularly again black male youth that I work with, that you're valued, you're seen,
Yeah.
you're necessary in your fullness,
Yeah.
right? And that we don't want to contribute to the erasure
Yeah.
of who they are when they're still trying to figure out what their identity is.
Yeah. Man, that's so rich. Thank you for that work because I don't know if I know you've seen this. You hop in your car, you ride to neighborhoods where there may be a higher concentration of poverty that impacts black people.
Yeah.
And then you see young black males and you can look in their eyes and almost see what I would say an emptiness, an erosion of the soul and emptiness. And Cornel West describes this in his book, Race Matters. He talks about nihilism in a way where it's like you're just existing in life with no meaning. And I love the fact that you brought up that we need real tangible solutions and advocates working with young black men because before you ever know who you can become, you have to have people that are standing with you to encourage you, even to lend you their courage and their confidence in you long before you have it in yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up Cornel West because even as I think about one of his mentors being James Cone, he talks about how the responsibility of the black community is to educate black people in their resilience and that they are able to use that to resist oppression.
Yes.
And so I use it as a guiding force to ensure that when I'm showing up, right, in these spaces where I see these young people, I let them know that you are enough just as you are right now. That there's
How does
still
that resonate with?
I think for a lot of them, it's the first time somebody's ever told them that, and to think that they don't have to figure out who do I need to be for you to get what I need from you. I can just really be my authentic self and what I need is still going to be provided, even if it's not the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Gets them closer to becoming something what I call different. Like, I'm very careful with language. You know, when I'm talking to them, I never tell them, be better, right? Because now I have to work through whatever that mental and psychological roadblock it is to say, well, what's wrong with me now?
Right.
And so what I want you to do is take the resources that you have to make a different choice.
Yeah.
And when you make that different choice, you get closer to who it is that you want to become.
Yeah.
But who you are right now is enough.
Yeah. And it's not overnight. And change doesn't happen in a day.
Absolutely not.
It happens daily. I got really emotional when you were describing that, because it's always been Black women who have stepped in, like, and I'm speaking from my perspective because I remember, you know, conversations with Black women when I was going through and navigating some of the similar challenges that, you know, the young Black males that you work with have to overcome. And it was always Black women who would pull me aside and speak to my worth and value. I'm not saying that I didn't have Black men too, but it really changed my hope in a way that disrupts all of the, you know, social injustice that you have to face that is connected to the history, maybe the side of town that you grew up on. It disrupts the social stigma, right? How people perceive you, like, because that harms or even damages your own sense of self-worth and how your self-image, right? And how you see yourself in relationship to the world around you. It also damages or harms your sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear from you, like when you name the late James Cone, Dr. James Cone, who was a professor, would be considered the father of Black liberation theology, writing books like The Cross and the Lynching Tree, The God of the Oppressed, you know, Black theology, Black power, trying to really help to shape even theological constructs as it relates to Blackness and how we aren't afforded the opportunity to separate our Blackness from our Christianity or our faith or whatever it is. And so I just really resonate with what you're saying. And it sounds like you are creating spaces of belonging for young people. Why is that so important?
I think it's important for me. It's what I've seen, right? I grew up going to school, coming home, and somebody's in my bedroom. You know, my parents had this deep-seated belief that regardless of how little we have, it is there to share. And so if someone needed something, it is our responsibility to then give it. And so I've always been raised in this idea of community, right? You talk about theological constructs, and I think about the Imago Dei, right? Being able to see the divinity and the God in somebody else.
Yes.
And if we were to walk through life really understanding that principle, how then would we treat each other? And then when I think about author by the name of Michael Battle, who wrote a book, Ubuntu, I and you and me, and it talks about I am because we are. And so I cannot separate myself from your struggle, even if it's not mine personally, because I choose to be in community with you. And so if that is the case, I have to create a safe space for you to feel as though you belong, because I don't want you to go out into the world and still try to figure out where's my safety, where can I retreat to, where can I go and not be my best self, and someone is still going to wrap their arms around me. And I say that because it's also something that I've needed. Like, I've been very vocal about my own mental health journey. And I grew up with a picturesque life. Mama and daddy in the house and grandmama across the street. And, you know, aunts and uncles. My grandma was across the street. Used to walk barefoot to her house. Yes, for sure. But I couldn't feel their love for some reason, right? Even though whatever I wanted, I got, right? People telling me daily that they love me. I could not feel it. And so wanting to be in a place emotionally, metaphorically, physically, where someone could say, you may be broken right now, despondent, lost, confused, but even in all that, I still love you, right? I still need you. We still want you around. And because I know what that feels like personally, I never want a young person who has no control over their circumstances as of yet
Right.
to feel that way.
Yeah.
And so everything that I do is out of a sense of you feeling safe and knowing that you're wanted and that when you get here, you belong.
Yeah. That's so important because young people never choose to be in the circumstances that they may be faced with, whether it be the family dynamics, the impoverishment, the schools that they go to, the peer groups that they're around, even sometimes to the, because I say diet is more than food, the content that they consume,
Absolutely.
right? It's a full-on experience. It's all your senses working, right? And I think sometimes people don't understand that if you place a young person in their environment, they are like sponges, right? And when you squeeze them, what comes out of them is what the environment or
Has
what
put
they've
in
been
them.
soaked with, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like hearing you speak about young people, specifically young black men, and it's important that you name that the demographic, black male,
Yeah.
right? I notice intentionally you are naming black male. Why do you name specifically? And then two, why young people?
Yeah. I name specifically because there's this criminalization of being black, male, and poor. Immediately, if you come from a certain zip code, you happen to be male, right? Don't be 14, 15 and already 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", right?
Yeah.
People automatically quantify you as an adult when you're still a child in a lot of senses. And then this still othering that we have as being black, even though we've been here going on almost 500 years now, right? It's still this idea of we don't know what to do with black folks. And so I name it intentionally because I want people to come face to face with their inherent and subconscious bias, right? When it comes to being black, being male, being poor.
Yeah. Which you reminded me of Howard Thurman right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being black, being male, and being poor. Would you help people understand what is it like from the narratives that you've heard around being black, being male, being poor, while also not even, in many instances, being 18?
Yeah. Oh, this could be hours long. This assumption that you should just already know to do better. This assumption that I can't be a kid and be loud with my friends without worried about someone feeling intimidated by our presence because we're walking down the street and we happen to be using vernacular that may seem aggressive to someone else, but we're just kicking it with our friends, right? This idea that you are afraid to go to adults who are in authority and power because they're going to automatically assume that you were in the wrong, right? And so I name it again because there's so much that black male youth have to contend with to even be comfortable enough to open their mouths to say, I need support, I need help, without feeling vilified or feeling as though they're going to be demeaned in the process, or someone inherently is just going to tell them, suck it up, you're going to be a man one day, figure it out, like you should have known to do better, you should have known to not do that, you should have known not to go to that corner. When again, our brains are not fully developed until we're about 24 years old, and you're asking a 15, 14, 16-year-old to make adult decisions is wholly unfair when they have not been given the foundation and the safety of support to be able to figure out which decisions are appropriate to make. A lot of times they're making those decisions in a split second and hoping for the best outcome.
Yeah. Man, that's so deep. And then I even think about how that fleshes out in schools. You know, to be black, to be male, to be poor. You said something about not having the, I don't want to say, because courage could be, in them. It just hasn't been called out. But like not having the permission, so to speak, to speak up, even in the context of school. Like you walk in a classroom, you're dealing with all of the social, environmental traumas. You're wrestling with your own sense of identity, right? And then you walk into a classroom and you may be getting taught lessons that don't connect with your existential reality. An educator might not be trauma informed or have a trauma informed pedagogy, and you feel even frozen within the context of your voice to raise your hand and to ask for help, because it's been communicated to you, like you said, that you should already know that you need to constantly work harder to be better, to be best presenting, and not have those tools. Like, I know this personally because I walked that journey, and the reason I resonate with your work so much is because nobody really understands what it feels like to walk in those types of environments, especially as a student, and be asked to reach a certain standard, score a certain score in a test, be polished, have knowledge when you probably don't have any examples from your social context. All of these things, like, how have you been able to encourage young Black males in your work to find the courage to be their full selves in the context of school, while also knowing that this is going to be a daily, one step after the other, and maybe you may have to take the step that your father didn't take or your mother didn't take. You may have to say, I'll be the first to graduate high school. I'll be the first to go to college. All of those sorts of things. How are you seeing that flesh out in your work?
Yeah, it gives me the privilege of creating an affirming environment for them. You say that, and I'm immediately thinking about one particular young man who said to me, I'm having a hard time getting, my classes unlocked. He's at an alternative school right now. So he's like, I'm just going to go get my GED. And so I say to him, it's like, oh, nothing wrong with that. I was like, but it'd be easier, right, if you just continue this journey here, even if it's some roadblocks, because let's just look at it logistically. You're going to have to go to class. You're going to have to study for a bunch of stuff, and then you're going to have to pass one, maybe two tests, right, to be able to get it, versus going through this class, doing your best in this class, going to this class, doing your best, and then getting, right, the diploma at the end. I said, but at the end of it, it's going to be your decision, and I'm going to support you in it. But what I also do is remind them is that you're already multilingual. You may not be speaking French or German or Mandarin, but the communication that you have with me, that you have with your peers, is different from the communication that you're having with folks that you've just met. And I give them examples of when I've placed them in rooms. I take these young men with me everywhere I can that's appropriate. They have met with the mayor, city council folks, with senior VPs from Fortune 100 companies. And I'm like, do you not realize that you know how to talk the language when you get in those rooms? And then when you get back into your comfort zone, you revert back to another language. It's like, don't let someone diminish your ability to know when and where to get what you need done. It's like, and if you can tap into that in other areas, that is where your brilliance lies. That is where it starts. And you have to just know where it makes sense for you. And now it's about that transferable skill, right? Taking what you already do and applying it elsewhere. And so for me, I let them know that you're already brilliant, right? You're already genius, because you make something out of nothing. You are resourceful. You are strategic. You are a survivor. You know how to code switch, whether you've had that language or not. You know when to fall back, when to push in. I was like, these are skills that are going to make... These are skills that are going to make you very successful as an individual. No one has helped you see how these skills can then translate into other areas of your life.
I'm reminded, as you're telling that story, of a substitute teacher who helped me to realize, he went on to become a psychologist. I was young Black male, poor, single parent household, no role models of higher education, graduate degrees, any of that. I'm the first man in my family to earn a Ph.D. Graduate degrees, multiple, and all of those things. And this guy, long time ago, like I was in class and most would see my behavior or my outward display of like, being loud or, getting everybody's attention and all that stuff as we need to label this kid, we need to get him out of here, we need to get him suspended, he's acting out, etc.
Yeah.
He pulled me aside one day, Dr. Muhammad, and he says, young man, I believe you have a gift. And I was like, a gift? What are you talking about? He was like, you know how to command a room. And people pay people to command a room with their oratorical skills and stuff like that. And I was like, what? He was like, you should consider like starting out with poetry and one day try to become a communicator.
Wow.
Years later, I was able to reconnect. Even a couple years ago, our schedules got crossed. I was supposed to be on this podcast or whatever, but I got a chance to tell him thank you.
Wow.
Because the seed that you plant in some young person, specifically some young black male, could blossom into something that is great.
Yeah.
And like I always say, like people don't become what you want them to become or expect them to become. People become what you encourage them to become.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's like creating those types of safe spaces where a young black male can even receive goodness from somebody speaking into their life, right? Because like you said, they may have all these skills, but who's telling them?
Yeah.
Who's holding up the mirror to say it's okay to look at yourself and see goodness in yourself?
Yeah. And that's all we ever hope to be able to give to our children, to the young people in our lives, but it's also everything we have received. And a lot of times we are looking for it to come from one particular person.
That's right.
Or we make the assumption that it has to come this way, when the reality is that you just need something that's going to ignite it.
That's right.
Right? And so I tell people all the time, like, be very, very careful about what you speak into and over young people, because while you may think their mama, their daddy, their auntie, their teacher should be the one to encourage them, they may not be getting that from those places.
That's
and
right.
here you are, someone that they do not know, but you chose kindness, right? You
kindness.
chose to be mindful of the words. And, there have been a lot of times I've had some run-ins with some adults, right? Who said they did, should have done this, and they didn't, they weren't respectful. And I sit there and I'll let them vent. And I said, the problem right here is you, right? You are trying to remind yourself that you are the adult in the situation, instead of taking the moment to realize that if this young person is encountering you in this way, then maybe they have not had the experiences to be able to know how to communicate effectively with someone that has perceived authority.
Yeah.
So this could have been a teaching moment in grace versus you trying to assert yourself, right? And now there's more damage caused.
And you can cause re-traumatization.
Absolutely, in a moment.
Yes.
In a moment. And I will say, working with so many young people, I was asked the other day over the course of our work, like, how many young people do you think that you've worked with? And from the start, even the work that we did when we was working out of Love Beyond Walls and in schools, like, we really had a chance to touch like close to 10,000 young people. And I am very, very intentional about checking my mood, my emotions, my tone, and ensuring that even when I have to, quote unquote, check them, right? It is what language, what words am I using, and how do I still give them a moment, right? To retain some dignity and some humanity. And it's not about me tearing them down because they did something wrong.
Right.
It is reminding them that they really, they have value in everything, and being able to speak to that. So.
Yeah. So much wisdom. You talked about grace. You talked about the importance of checking in with yourself as you interact with young people. I mean, as a father, right? I have two children, daughter's senior currently, and my son is a freshman. And I have to constantly, as a black father, check myself that I'm not projecting how I was raised onto them. They don't have the same struggles as me.
Yeah.
They don't have to answer the questions alone like I did. They don't have to navigate certain circumstances. And I always have to ask myself, am I communicating even to my own children from a place of trying to understand them versus trying to understand them through my lens, right? And I almost hear that even in the work that we do, like people always show up with their embedded biases, their stigmatization that they've gotten from second and third hand sources, and it's never from being proximate with people or understanding a person's story. And I always tell people, I think I wrote about this in my first book, I See You. You need to ask yourself the 7 whys. Why do I believe this? You know, you interrogate that. And then once you come up with that answer, interrogate that some more. And then you continue to interrogate till you trace down the root of how you actually came to that conclusion and that embedded idea. And I don't think many people give themselves spaces to do that type of interrogation within themselves, within how they perceive others that they've never been proximate to, and all of it. And I want to ask you, like, you know, as we close, what do you think young people need right now? I know we're in very tense times. Funding is shifting. Even within the context of schools, we see cuts and specifically, and it's going to cause more harm in areas where young black males like you work with are going to be impacted. And I just want to know, like, from your vantage point, I know you lead Hey as a nonprofit, but you have connections to schools and all this stuff. What are you seeing? What are you sensing? And what do we need?
Ooh, what do we need? We need more empathy. And I say that because I try my best to remind adults that when you're talking to young people, educating them, mentoring them, guiding, leading, they are as old as they have ever been in that moment. Right? So they do not have a point of reference of the wisdom that you get through life experience. And so we have to start there. We also, you mentioned this in your 7 whys, we have to check what is then triggered in us when we get deep enough into those whys.
Come on.
And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we're scared of what the root is for ourselves. And so you recently met my mother. And so my mom taught in a Title I school, and it sometimes became room full of little black boys because nobody else knew how to deal with them. Principals would come, academic coordinators, you know, to write her up because they're standing on their head in this corner and they're under the table over here and they leaned up against the wall over here. And my mother is like, well, first of all, as long as they're not disrupting my classroom, we don't have a problem. Secondly, he likes to stand up because he has to be told to sit down all day long when he is at home. Right? And so understanding the context of the young people that you work with in schools is going to be integral in seeing ourselves through whatever this is that we're going through right now. This idea that young people can check all of their sociological struggles at the door to be taught algebra or English or modern history, world history, whatever, when they don't know if the lights are going to be on when they get back home. They don't know if the water's turned off or not. They don't know if their mother is working 2 shifts or she's not working at all, but they still haven't seen her in 3 days. And so the idea that something that I know works well for us at Hay, that I wish I saw in schools more. Sometimes you just have to name it. You've got to call it out. And when you are able to call it out, it allows for young people to be seen and validated, even if you don't have an answer. I'm not ignoring your situation. I'm not ignoring your circumstances. And that is why I tell people all the time, like, great teachers exist. And those great teachers look like, I got a drawer full of granola bars, right? I got baby wipes in the closet. You know, you
Tell
have
me
that
what's really going on.
You got the conversation before you hit the door. Come to my classroom 10 minutes early, right? Even before you get to your homeroom class, we're going to make sure you're good. And that is a lot of what we do. Like, we have a washer and dryer on site at the Hay House for them to come wash their clothes free of charge. We got a toiletry closet. They can come take showers if they need to. We got a fully functioning kitchen. We got 3 freezers full of food. Because we want to be able to, what I call, reduce those latent effects of poverty for them. So that when they get into school, they have a bit more of a chance to focus on the things that are going to help them matriculate through that. But I think we need more empathy.
More empathy.
And then I think what I hope to be able to see through all of this is for us to understand that these young people teach us every day.
That's right.
They are more attuned to what is happening and in tune with themselves than we've ever been at this age. And the idea that they don't have something that can help us be better, I think we are doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing our community a disservice when we discount them because they're 12. Because they're 16, because they're 17 years old. Oh, they don't know anything. No, they know a lot more. They are more empathetic. They are more knowledgeable, right? Wisdom comes through experience, but they have more access to knowledge and information than we've ever had. And we can't take that for granted. And it is about building community together where we take the information they have and the wisdom and experience that we have, and we figure out what we can make together, right? So that they are then empowered and encouraged. But then the village and the community and the elders can feel as though we're going to be taken care of and we're going to see ourselves to another day.
That's right. Empathy, learning from our young people, being self-aware and understanding how you show up in a young person's space. Shout out to all of the teachers who are doing the tiresome and burdensome work. You know, I was writing about, and you're a minister and all of those things, and I was writing about the crucial need to have both the personal theology and a public theology. And I think we need more of that because the public witness in this moment is so necessary. It's not just about what you believe, it's about what you practice.
That is it. I tell people all the time, I hear what you say, but I'm watching what you do.
I'm watching what you do.
I'm watching what you do.
Kacey.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Before we close, any questions for me?
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah. My dream right now is to watch my kids grow up.
Yeah.
To be healthy, to find more innovative ways to serve the community, and not be burdened by the shiftiness of nonprofit life, to ramp up collaborations. I think I have a lot of dreams that could help shape the landscape in this country, and I'm feeling in this moment really inspired to do something really big again, and I don't know, we'll see what the Lord does.
Amen.
Amen. Peace.